Welcome to the Nathaniel Noble Jr. podcast, where we talk about life, because it happens to everyone. Thank you for joining your host, Nathaniel Noble Jr., bringing you real people, real conversations, and real perspectives to help you grow and stay inspired. So sit back, tap in, and let's talk about life.
You're listening to the Nathaniel Noble Jr. podcast.
Welcome this week's guest on the Nathaniel Noble Jr. podcast. I got a return guest. A while ago, her and her husband was on my show, maybe over a year or two or whatever. I've been doing this for 4 years. In my 5th season, so she's back as an individual. Welcome to the show, Vanessa Rendon.
Thank you. Thank you.
How you doing, Vanessa? It's been a while.
I'm doing fabulous. It has been a little bit, and things are still going great, both on the relationship side and the individual side now too.
Cool. That's awesome. So you're gonna talk to us today. Well, we're gonna give a little intro of you and your background and stuff, and then you're gonna talk about the hypnotherapist, which I have no clue what that is. Sound like you got to hypnotize people and give them some therapy while they're under hypnosis. I don't know. I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's actually very self-explanatory. It truly is. I kind of headed out on this journey, about 17 years ago. I went through a series of, I was always in the corporate world. And then I went through a series of major life changes. I lost a couple parents a couple years apart. I made a major move to California, away from my adult children. There was just a whole series of things. Went through a bout with stage 4 cancer that I beat, and it all just piled up, and I didn't take time to process any of it. Now, a little bit of craziness happened in the middle of that. I needed a way to kind of escape, and I started drinking just a little bit too much, and kind of developed a problem with alcohol. And so this really set me on this entire path. I realized I had a problem. I got some help with it, and I fell in love with the addiction and recovery world and in the treatment portion of it, because of how dramatically it changed, not just my relationship with alcohol, because that was never my problem. The alcohol was my solution. It was all the problems I let build up that I didn't deal with that led me to the alcohol as a solution. But it took something like that, a 12-step program, for me to realize that. And in the process of that, I dove in head first, and I started working in that world. And so for the last, 17 years, I've been involved in the treatment of drugs and alcohol. And it's been such a rewarding journey. It's not very great monetarily, but it feeds your soul. And it's a lot of it's done for fun and for free. But the therapy piece of it was just amazing. And so kind of fast forward a little bit, about 5 years ago, I had what seemed like, an event that brought me to my knees, because anything that involves your children really impacts you. And I had a son who got involved with drugs and alcohol, ended up getting a 15-year sentence in a federal penitentiary. Wow. Out in Utah. And once again, I found myself kind of spiraling, but not towards alcohol this time, because I had some tools. But I had a close friend who had lost a child who died, a few years back. And I had been doing some talk therapy, which didn't seem like it was taking me anywhere. Not that I knock it at all, because I love all therapies. And she said, I went outside the box, and I've been seeing a hypnotherapist. And I was like, what? And she started to explain to me how so much of how she processed and dealt with things was old programming from years and years of traumas and old losses that she had never fully dealt with, which were holding her back from healing with her current grief. And it made sense. And so I was open to it. At that point I was hurting so much that I thought, it couldn't hurt. So I went in, and I had my first session with this lady, and it blew my mind. I've done a little bit of meditation and guided meditations that are very generic, but this was different. It's almost a form of meditation, but it was like having meditation tailored specifically to me, to my thoughts, my patterns, my habits, everything that was stored down in my auto programming in my subconscious. And after about 3 sessions, I wasn't waking up with my first thought of wanting to cry over what my son was, doing in prison and what could be happening to him. And my whole life stopped being consumed by it. And I was all in, 3 sessions in, and she had me hooked. And a year later, after working with this woman, it had changed my life so dramatically, not just in regards to my son, but all of these other avenues that it led me down that I never dealt with were starting to, just turn around like I couldn't believe. And I would go in, and 50% of our sessions, I was going back more for the knowledge. And at that point, she recognized it. And she said, you know what? I think you would make a great hypnotherapist. And I was like, what? And she said, truly. And so she sent me a link to go to the college that she had attended. It's HMI out here in Tarzana in California. And they offered a 3-month trial program. So they would get all of your student loans and everything going for you. And you would have 3 months that you could attend class like a normal student with all the ones that already paid, see how you liked it before you had to commit. And then they would submit all of your stuff, your paperwork.
Oh, that's cool.
And I was like, man, you can't beat that. And that's what started my journey. I was off and running at 50 years old, I'm in there reinventing myself back in like serious school, psychology stuff. And I was like, oh, but you know what? It felt like, it was like riding a bike. I got back on there because I went to school decades ago, and it was just like riding a bike. I love it. I graduate in October, where I'll have a clinical degree at that point. So it's been a wild ride, but I think it's my purpose. I think it's what I was meant to do.
Yeah, if it was that easy to go through it after decades of no school, it's like, this is your niche right here. Especially when you want to learn something about it, when you're willing to learn and you're interested in it, you're gonna be looking forward to studying that craft.
Absolutely.
Cool. So now your title is what?
Now I'm a certified master hypnotherapist.
Ooh.
And so I've completed 3,000 hours of hypnotherapy. And so I have a certified, I'm a certified master hypnotherapist. I'll be a clinical hypnotherapist, which gives me a mind-body psychology degree as well in October.
Okay.
So
Good luck
right
with
now
that.
I've been practicing, for a couple years now, and it's just been an amazing journey. Wow.
So you think it's been helping a lot of people that's been involved with it, especially the first timers?
Oh, you know what? I thought that my drug and alcohol work really fed my soul, but I didn't realize there's so many other people out there struggling with so many other conditions that are all stress and anxiety related to a huge degree. And especially our world is so overloaded right now with stuff. And there's a lot of people suffering. I mean, we're talking anything from, I see the weirdest of weirdest habits and conditions out there that you've never even heard of. Half of my lane I took a left hand down a lane I'd never heard of before, a burning mouth syndrome. This is real. It's called BMS, burning mouth syndrome. Never heard of it. And now 75% of my clients are burning mouth syndrome. There's tens of thousands of people, if not hundreds, across countries. I have a couple ladies over in Scotland that I work with. So, but everything, I do everything from helping people to stop smoking and vaping to weight loss, anxiety, just wanting to better their career, feeling like they're stuck in life, finding purpose, insomnia. You name it, everything we do is stored in our mind.
Wow. The burning mouth syndrome. That's curious. What is like your mouth is burning? Or something in your mind? They
actually feel physical sensations around their mouth, their jaw, and their throat area. And it's not there all the time. So that's the first key, that it's linked somehow psychologically. Right. Because what we suppress, kind of like how I said, I let stuff build up and stack up I didn't deal with. What we suppress eventually expresses some way. So you can even map that back around to heart disease. which is largely due to stress, ulcers, a lot of things like gut issues. A lot of them are brought on by stress, but this burning mouth one, it usually has some trauma related to it, either way away from the past or recent. And it shows up out of nowhere. It's a way that certain, and it affects primarily postmenopausal women. So there's a hormonal something in there. But the symptoms, a lot of the symptoms are brought on by stress and anxiety. So the key to this is not that I go in and remove it completely, but I get it down to a level that doesn't completely, incapacitate their entire life, where they stop doing anything, they stop living, they just hide, they just isolate, because it's one of those diseases that you can't physically see it. And the doctors run every test under the sun and go, I don't know what's wrong with you. And they created this umbrella that they just tell these people, this is what you got because you got a few of these sensations, and they call it one thing, when it's really causation could be a million different things. So it's difficult to treat other than just a symptomatic approach to lessen the symptoms so small that it doesn't disrupt your life.
That's interesting. Yeah. So, what's the next move on you? You have a book coming out?
I'm working on some stuff, but it's a little bit down the road. I've got a couple of programs that are going to come out that are going to offer some free services, because in some of these communities, they've already exhausted so many financial resources trying to find out what's wrong with them. And right now, hypnotherapy is this far away from being covered by insurance. I work with a couple of psychologists that I can kind of get some stuff passed through them, because I'm kind of considered one of their associates. But because I don't have an official medical degree, I can't bill through insurance just yet, but it's right around the corner. And so most people have to pay out of pocket for my service. And so I try to be as flexible as I absolutely can, because I don't think you can put a price tag on healing.
Right.
And so I'm coming up with a couple of things that are in the works, probably in the next 3 to 4 months, where I'll be doing some live free sessions. There will be a small nominal fee if you want access to the library 24/7. For some different generic type videos for different scenarios to help relieve stress and anxiety out of your life.
Cool. Yeah. You're going to be needed in this climate of world now.
Oh boy, let me tell you, I got some political folks coming to see me, and I have to. You can't find one thing on social media that which way I lean, left or right.
Yeah, I just totally backed away from political stuff, and I noticed my stress left me. I'm more peaceful. Yep. The anxiety is gone. My wife liked me more. It just, I can't fix that world. I can't fix it. All I can do is fix me.
You can't.
Yeah,
you can't, and that's been a big part of what I do is there's a large portion of the people I see right now who've got this political anxiety that they're standing on the corner with protest signs, and they're wondering why their anxiety is through the roof. But you have to here's the thing: is you got to get them to collaborate and get bought in that they need to make that change, because you can see what the problem is, but they got to see what the problem is.
Yeah, I think they live to create the problem so you can have your problems.
Well, now monetarily, that's great for me, but I really am in the business of healing, and I do a lot of pro bono work for people who just really need my help and they can't afford it. So I really do try to leave some space in my practice where I can pay the bills, and it makes it. I get Richard off my back that I'm actually bringing in some money, and and then it's all good. So I have some wiggle room that I help where I can.
Yeah, it's anytime you're helping people get better in their soul and their life, it's no price you can put on it, really.
Yeah, no, not even. And I think that at the core of this, really being able to just plug into that subconscious world, I never realized how incredibly powerful it is. A lot of people don't even understand what the neuroscience behind it really is. And it is so simplistic. It almost goes down to all the advertising that we've seen our entire lives. where you can still hear that, have a Coke and a smile, and you go, Coke, and you can see the picture, It's because they program stuff down into our subconscious that one little thing can bring it right back into our memory. But that's our experience as well. Everything we run on about 95% auto programming all day long. Our conscious mind really only has to think about 5% of what we do, because everything else we already know. We know how to brush our teeth, put our shoes on, get dressed, wash our hair, do the dishes, drive our car. That's all auto programming down in our subconscious mind. But a lot of experiences we've gone through in life that have taught us how to react, they're there as well.
So the hypnotherapist, so explain that in layman's terms for the people like me. The process,
So basically, keeping it in simple terms, it's we, like I just said, we run on autopilot all day long, but we all run on a different autopilot. No two people experience something exactly the same. So the way it was programmed in you from childhood, some certain things, when you first start out as a kid and you're getting ready to go to kindergarten, if you had a mom who told you red was green and green was red, guess what you believe? Red is green and green is red. No different. That's what was programmed down into your little subconscious mind. You go to school and the teacher starts holding up flashcards, red and green, and you're doing them backwards. And she's trying to teach you, no, sweetheart, this is not. It takes a little bit of convincing. And when you start to see the rest of the room is bought in on this, and then you start to see things on TV and the rest of the world, then you might go, maybe mom was wrong. To fit in, I guess I better conform, and I guess red is red and green is green. But this is how we learn. Up until the time we get out into the big bad world, our parents are our gods. What they say is law because we don't know any different. Now that's good or bad, is the way you learn how to love, the way you learn how to respond. If you have loving parents, abusive parents, it teaches and navigates you. If you have parents that let you use your imagination and, play out in the yard and learn how to fit into society, it all comes from everything that happens to you from the time you're a child all the way up, and it just compounds. Some kids grow up loving vegetables because their mom cooked vegetables all the time. Some kids hate them because they never ate vegetables. They didn't develop the taste for it. Everything is down there. So basically every habit, every belief system, everything has been stored in your subconscious mind. It records everything. And some of the stuff that really gets imprinted really strongly is stuff that really hurt you, that it had a dramatic effect on you. So if I were to ask you, me and Richard just had a conversation about this morning. And I said, can you tell me something really profound that happened to you when you were in the 4th grade? He looked at me like I was crazy. He's like, no. And I said, you know what? I can tell you something profound that I can feel it in my body that happened to me when I was in 4th grade. He goes, no way. I said, yes. And it's going to sound really silly. I said, this is back when Nike shoes and everything was first coming out, and my parents couldn't afford to buy Nike shoes. So my brain, not fully developed, didn't realize that I could not fake this. I had a pair of plain old white tennis shoes, and I thought I drew it perfect, that big old swoosh on there. And I went to school feeling so great that next day, and I was exposed big time. These kids pounced on me, the ones wearing the real Nikes. And then it brought layers of shame where, you're poor. I got teased. And that I didn't want it. I wanted to leave and move to another state and find a new school in 4th grade.
Everybody needs to start their Live Good membership with Nate. And here's why. If you've been overpaying for supplements, it's time to stop. Live Good gives you premium quality products at prices that actually make sense. No inflated cost, no pressure. Just real wellness. And when you join with Nate, you're not doing it alone. You're getting guidance, consistency, and someone who actually cares about your results. This isn't just about supplements. It's about taking control of your health the smart way. Take your supplement game to the next level without breaking your bank. Take the free tour today at joinnateNow.com. Once you see it,
You can't unsee it.
I never wanted to go back there again. And I can, even recalling it right now, telling the story again to you, I feel like that ick in my stomach, because we hold stuff, those things that imprint so powerfully. And that goes for trauma, for happiness, for sadness, things that imprint so powerfully. So even decades down the road, there are certain things that like can really give me that same almost feeling in my gut, because it's been programmed for me to feel that way. Now, in working with hypnotherapy, all these things that get stored that way, whether it's habits, emotions, experiences, belief systems, they were all programmed, which means they can be unprogrammed. But they got to be unprogrammed the same they were unprogrammed. Or no, just the opposite. They got to be unprogrammed the same way they were programmed, through repetition over and over and over. I felt that level of shame probably over and over and over my entire life. When I couldn't afford it, I would look at something and look at a price tag and go, I can't afford that. I would feel that same feeling of almost shame of when I couldn't afford Nike tennis shoes in 4th grade. And that's because things that imprint so powerfully on us, we carry them with us. They're like in a little lockbox with a lock on it, and they'll pop out at the most random times. But the thing is, you don't go in and extract stuff from people's memories. What you do is you go in and you change the perception of it down in that subconscious mind, because your subconscious mind is thought to be 85% powerful over the conscious 15%, which is where like things like willpower, analyzing, all that kind of stuff happens in the conscious mind. So one more quick little example of how it works. So let me ask you, what kind of movies do you like?
I like documentaries. Stuff like that.
Documentaries.
Yeah.
Okay. So even a documentary. Mm-hmm. Okay. So when you find a really good, interesting documentary, and you sit down to watch it, and you kind of get lost in it, and you feel like a little anger if you see something that really, God, that kind of go, that's an evil guy. Whatever it is you're watching, and you feel it, you're like, or you feel happy for something that happened in it. For just a moment, your logical mind kind of takes the back seat just a little bit, and you're allowed to kind of float down here. Mm-hmm. Based on your belief system, you're going to feel certain things, right. And people who go to a movie theater, these are all forms of hypnosis. People who go to a movie theater and you sit there and the lights go down, the movie comes up, your logical mind knows Tom Cruise is just an actor. Mm-hmm. But in that moment, when the lights go down, he's flying jets. And you're cheering for the United States, and you're, booing at the bad guy. And that's because your logical mind, if it was still in charge, it would be going, oh, that's so stupid. That's not real. That's not real. That's not real. But you've slipped down here into the subconscious mind for a while, where you're not analyzing, you're not trying to logic through everything, and you just sit back and you relax and you allow yourself to believe it. The lights come up, and you're right back to conscious mind again. But that's the same thing that happens with hypnosis. It's a very focused, relaxed state of mind. You're not asleep. You're not in a trance. You can't make somebody do anything that's against their belief system. And, and it just allows us to talk to the subconscious mind and get it to start thinking of things a little differently. Because when, like you and I talking, we're talking to each other's conscious minds right now. Mm-hmm. When you're in a state of hypnosis and you slip down here, now I'm talking to some of your beliefs, things like that. So when a client comes to me and they start telling me the changes they're looking to make and how they're feeling, and we start to help them see consciously the change they want to make. And then when we get them very relaxed, they slip down through a little bridge down into the subconscious. So now we're talking directly to the place that needs the changing, the programming. And when you're doing that, you get probably, I would venture to say, depending on the client, 10 to 20 to 50% quicker results than regular talk therapy. People can go to talk therapy for years and years and years and not get the same effect. And one of the reasons behind that also is that it's like having a very tailored meditation directly with only your issues that you're looking to change. Because again, you see people do affirmations, things like this, but a lot of them are generic. The stuff we deal with at the end of every session, the first part of it is regular, cognitive behavioral therapy. I'm trying to extract stuff from you to work within your subconscious that's specifically to you. When I put you into that state of hypnosis, that's when I have you deeply relaxed. I hit record on my audio and I record that piece of it. When the session's over, I send you the recording. And then your homework behind it is to listen to it every day, maybe once or twice a day, because it's tailored specifically to the changes that you want to make. It's not just like a guided meditation you pull up on the internet for stress. Yeah, those things help to decompress you a little bit. But when you're talking that person's language, because you know what their language is, because you just had a session with them, it's so much more powerful.
Looking for a fun, meaningful book your kids will actually enjoy? Check out Trash Truck Day with Nate the Great and Kira. A heartwarming story that teaches kids kindness, respect, and responsibility in a way they'll never forget. Follow Nate, the neighborhood hero, and his dog Kira as they turn an ordinary day into a powerful life lesson. Perfect for bedtime, classrooms, and everyday growth. Grab your copy today at TrashTruckNate.com. That's TrashTruckNate.com. And make story time count.
Sounds interesting.
And here's the thing. I was so bought in because I experienced it.
Okay. Yeah.
It wasn't one of these things where I went to school for it and went, okay, let's go change the world. I was led that direction because I myself was suffering with something that I couldn't get any relief from any of the other therapies I had tried. And it was starting to impact my personal world, my business world. And so I had to do something. And it opened up the door for me. And now more than ever, I think the psychological and the physiological world are coming together. Because a lot of the times you have your medical doctors over here, the MDs that deal with the physical, and then you have the psychiatry world over here, or psychology world, and this one deals with one thing and this one deals, if somebody starts sprinkling over here, they send you here, or vice versa. But now more than ever, they're realizing this has to be a collaboration, because so much of what you think all day long can actually really affect your body physically.
Yeah,
so it's twofold.
Everything is connected.
Everything's
Mind,
connected.
body, and soul.
Absolutely. We're like, I don't know. For me, I was like, really? These two worlds didn't realize this decades ago, which I'm sure they did, but both of them kind of like to have their own lanes. Yeah. And, but we're just like, we're like a car, everything has a purpose. Everything in our body has a purpose, and they're all interconnected. When one thing's off, other things are not working right.
Right. Cool. That's awesome. Anything else you want to let the people know about psychotherapy?
Well, with hypnosis, it's really all about it's reducing anxiety. It's these overthinking, looping patterns that we find ourselves in. So some people they kind of get a little down on themselves sometimes, like, God, I just got out of the doctor's office and the doctor's telling me I need to lose some weight. I need to change my diet. And he convinces you all these great things that are going to happen if you do. And you're like, I'm all bought in, doc. On the way home, I'm stopping at the store. I'm getting some healthy stuff. And then I'm going to go home and throw all the bad stuff out. 15 minutes down the road, you go into the store, you walk past the Oreos, they're buy one, get one free this week. And you're like, I'll start next week. It's that quick. And it's not because you're weak. It is because some things, based on why they were programmed down in your subconscious mind, that big, powerful 85% in control autopilot down here, it goes, ooh, warm and fuzzy, cookies make us feel good. Cookies are good. That doctor said they're bad, but cookies are good. Your conscious mind is going, no. And they're kind of doing one of these. The doctor just said, but this one down here is 85% powerful because it's based on lots and lots of times the experiences that you've given in and bought the cookies. So you've got more evidence that cookies are good than cookies are bad. Right. And so then the more powerful one wins out. Maybe not every time, but the 85 to 15% fight, most of the time it wins until you change the belief system. People go on these crash diets and they can use their willpower and hang on by the edge of their seat and kill themselves for a few months. And then they're like, oh, I can't do it anymore. And that's because they didn't change their association down here with their food and their diet and their exercise. They just simply crash dieted, white knuckled it, and then it fails. So it's just because of your auto programming. It's not that you're a weak person. It's that 85-15 ratio. The 85 is going to win most of the time unless you make the 85, you flip the script on it. So the 85% now becomes no. Cookies are bad. They don't do good things for us. They don't help us reach our goals. Now it's 85% powerful when you've changed that perception down here. So 85% of the time, you're going to say no to the cookies. You might still once in a while give in and do it.
Right.
But now the change you want to make is more powerful once you've done through repetition down here, doing it over and over again.
Yeah, I got an example.
So, yeah.
I got an example of that through my health and wellness I've been doing over the last 3 years, walking and supplementing and stuff. And I've been consistent with it. And because if I don't walk and I don't supplement, I don't like the results I was having as I get older. So now it's like a part of my lifestyle, the mental, the spiritual, and I feel bad when I don't do it because I've been doing it so much, just wrestling at 85% of it's so easy to just sit back and eat some sweets and chill. Mm-hmm. I'll do it tomorrow. I'm like, no, every day, even if I don't feel like doing it, I go do it.
No, I get it. Richard does the same thing. He went on a 36-hour fast, mm-hmm. and because he's slowly worked his way up to it, and he sees the benefits, and he's got so much energy, and he's fabulous. Here I am. My little devil horns came up last night because he came home, and I was like, "Hey, should I make us a really good cauliflower crust pizza?" I'm like, "It's healthy," and he goes, "I'm on a fast."
Oh yeah.
I'm like, oh. I'm like, "Can you take your shower really quick so I can make me one and I'll eat before you can?" But no, when you start
Discipline.
to see the benefits, it's slow changing down here to where he started seeing benefits of his keto diet and his fasting and things. He doesn't eat all day long at work.
Right.
But it took him a while to build up to that. And I've done hypnosis on Richard, believe it or not, for your guys' job.
He told me
because he found himself getting a little bit too cocky at his job, and he said, "Man, I find myself not doing my safety walk around, making sure everything's legit before I get on the road, and because I have this thing I want to be the first one done every day, and it's not safety first,
Right.
And so we did some hypnosis, and I gave him this little anchor. He listens to the video, and he finds it. Anytime he starts to tell himself I don't need to check that. I checked it yesterday. His little fingers come together. It's now programmed that goes, okay, no, I don't want the ramifications if something happens because I didn't do my walk around. Right. And he gets out and does his little walk around. So it's just little changes in the subconscious like that bring about things people want to do differently.
Yeah, you're your biggest enemy, fighting yourself.
That's exactly what this is all about. Is learning to have some inner dialogue with you, because a lot of times we don't realize we are what we tell ourselves we are.
Mm-hmm.
Good or bad.
Yeah. On that note, this is the part of the show where I have my guests leave some positive life nuggets. Got any?
Let's see here. I would really like people as some closing thoughts to realize that, your mind and your body aren't working against you. They're just really learned patterns that made sense for you at one time. We were all pre-programmed, some of the parts of it against our will. But the good news is that there is an avenue to retrain those paths. It's just through repetition. There's no drugs involved in it. And when you calm the mind, the body follows so much easier. The mind and body really do work and navigate as one. I think that's what a lot of people, if you can kind of cross over a little bit, even and just keep an open mind. This sounds a little woo-woo, but this is hypnotherapy is neuroscience. And if you start looking to it from that angle, even those people who are really science rooted will see that this is such a beneficial form to make some quicker life-changing results that seemed impossible through any other avenue you've tried in the past.
Awesome. Hey, so Vanessa, where could people find you if they needed your services or see where you're located at for us?
Sure. I'm at Mind Body Reboot, just all one word, mindbodyreboot.com. And I'm on all social media platforms under the same name, Mind Body Reboot. And all my links are found on my website. I offer free consultations, no pressure. I'm not a high pressure salesperson. I'm an independent, so I run my own business. I make my own hours. I'm flexible. I work weekends, nights. I work with people in all countries across the United States. So, I'm really flexible, and all that information is on my website, and they can, just kind of book a session with me and come in and see what it's all about, and then make up their mind from there. No pressure.
Cool. Check it out, folks. There's a solution if you're looking for an answer. So yeah, I want to bring Vanessa on and explain that.
If you can think it and want to change it, I can help.
Yes. So put her to test. She got all that schooling and 3,000 hours of training, and she's looking to help you be a better person. So
thank you so much, Nate, for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I want to thank you for coming on the Nathaniel Noble Jr. podcast again. And anytime you got some new stuff, just reach out and we'll get it out to the world.
For sure. As soon as I get this new section up and going, I'll reach out to you.
You've heard it exclusively on Nathaniel Noble Jr. podcast.
I'm Vanessa Rendon, and you're listening to the Nathaniel Noble Jr. podcast. And you can find me at mindbodyreboot.com.
Thanks for listening to Nathaniel Noble Jr. podcast. The best podcast in your hands. With new episodes every Sunday at noon. Pacific on all podcast platforms. Check out MrNoblePodcast.com for more info. As always, be blessed. Don't stress, because this life is just a big old test. And you're gonna pass with flying colors if you don't quit. Peace.